Waiting without bitterness. Is there such a thing? Waiting is hard, but waiting without becoming bitter or resentful, that's a whole different battle, because it's not just about patience anymore. Oh, patience. Anybody here got strong patience? That's where I fall short. Anyways, it's about your heart. There's a kind of waiting that slowly changes you, right? Not in a peaceful, refined way, but in a quiet, dangerous way. You know, you still believe in God, but you're starting to feel frustrated with Him, and you don't even realize it. You're still praying, but part of you is actually wondering, is there anybody home? Anybody listening? Hello? Many times I struggled with this. Like at some point in your life, you realize that your timeline is not going to happen. The age you thought you'd be married, the season you thought things would shift, the by now at my age expectations, and letting go of that timeline, it feels like you're losing control. I don't think God is asking us to kill that desire. I think He's just asking us to release that timeline that we have for those desires. And yes, that means you, a woman who wants children in her 40s. Yeah, it includes you. I know your clock is ticking. I know the feeling. I'm 43, never had children. I've wanted children, but I feel you. This is where it gets real, because Scripture says, ask and you shall receive. And you did ask. So now what? Now you're fighting through like, did I do something wrong? Is God ignoring me? Is He even there? And you don't say it out loud because it feels wrong to think it. Although I've said it very loud, like, God, are you there? Sometimes we avoid that, but you can love God and still feel frustrated. Those two things can exist at the same time. You can worship and still have questions. Pray and still be disappointed. That doesn't make you fake. It makes you honest and real. Human. Bitterness, it doesn't just show up. It creeps in. It's like a seed planted in your heart that if you don't nip it in the bud, it's going to grow into something. But when it first creeps in, it sounds like, why does everyone else get what they ask for, but not me? Why not me? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe God is calling me to be single. And yes, singleness is a calling. I've read some of your comments in my previous videos, and I truly believe that singleness is a calling. Not everyone can be single and successful, because singleness calls you to be righteous. It calls you to be holy. It calls you to be a lot of things you cannot do on your own. And even though Paul says he wishes everyone could be single, he knows not everyone is called to be single. So I do believe that singleness is a calling. And no, I did not get that calling. But yeah, if you're not careful, you can start seeing yourself as overlooked by God. You can start feeling forgotten, unworthy. You know, that whole woe is me feeling, the mindset that just develops into that bitterness, that can slowly poison your faith. And sometimes you turn it inward. Maybe I messed this up. Maybe I missed my chance. And sometimes you just turn it to God. Why haven't you done anything? But not every delay is punishment. And God isn't sitting back ignoring you. There's a difference between delay and denial. In Psalm 27:13-14, it says, "Yet I am confident I will see the Lord's goodness while I am here in the land of the living. Wait patiently for the Lord. Be brave and courageous. Yes, wait patiently for the Lord." Here's that word again, patience. That's a fruit I need to work on. There's also Lamentations 3:25-26. "The Lord is good to those who depend on Him, to those who search for Him." Are you searching for God? Or are you searching for God to bless you with your desires? In James 1:6-8, it says, "But when you ask Him, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver." That's an important one. When you ask God, is your faith in your good acts that He will bless you because you've been good? Or is your faith in God alone, without your works, without your ability to do anything about it? That scripture speaks to the true nature of your heart, your motives, your doubt. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles." I know, trust isn't easy. Patience isn't easy. Waiting without bitterness isn't easy. But also waiting with patience and without bitterness, it doesn't mean it comes with peace either. It just means that you have to keep your heart soft, keep your heart focused on God, even though you don't know what's going on or you don't know why God isn't answering or providing. It just means that you trust his character, that he is a good God, and you trust that more than your timeline or your desires being met. And that's where you will nip that seed in the bud, that seed of bitterness. You'll pluck it out before it even has the time to grow into anything, is by trusting in the character of God and his goodness, not his ability to provide the things that you want. So you're not being ignored. You're just being asked to trust God and his timing during a season where trust costs you something. Like, for example, if you're in your mid to late 40s, a woman, and you want children, it costs something to trust God. It does. I feel like it cost me a lot. And I'm at 43 now, and I kind of don't want kids anymore because of my age. And I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with that. I actually don't want kids anymore, even if I had the opportunity. Even if I got married this year and, things happen quickly, I probably don't want kids anymore. I'm really moved on from that idea because I really just focused all of those desires, those earthly desires, I put it all in God's hands and been seeking his heart to reflect into mine. And when I did that, the desires left. The desires of like that, why isn't it happening to me? I'm 43, blah, blah, blah. That's all gone. Now I have that peace that if it doesn't happen, which I'm probably certain it won't, I'm okay with that. I have new goals now. I have new dreams. And I'm pretty sure those are God's transformation in my heart. Those desires were transformed to reflect God's desires. My new dreams, they sound amazing. I'm excited for those. And kids, they're not going to be part of my life probably. I say probably and I say maybe just because I don't want to put words in God's mouth. I don't want to shut the door to something that I could be wrong with because I'm still learning on hearing from God and knowing his voice when it's not written in his word for specific things. I'm still learning that. So that's why I never shut the door on something. I will never verbally say, it won't happen, I can't do this, or this means that. I'm always going to say things like, if it is God's will, I believe that God has said, or, just I keep the door, the crack open on these things just for God to move. Because if I shut that door, God is not going to go and open it. That's why I'm saying it's probably not going to happen that I will have children. And I'm okay with that. I'm excited for the new desires in my heart. And I will just keep focusing on my relationship with him. And he will grow those desires and manifest those desires because he will guide me to fulfill them. And I will obey him. But all this to say, yes, I went through a lot of bitterness and resentment in the beginning of my 40s when I didn't understand why. I was single, not married, no children, not understanding why I wasn't meeting anybody. All of that bitterness and resentment has been, rebuked, plucked out of my heart, and now I'm focused on his plan for me. And I love it. It's just peaceful. And if you're going through that, focus on his heart and his desires, and they will be reflected onto yours. Guarantee it happened to me, so it can happen to you. Bitterness, I wanted to address more specifically because the bitterness is what's ruining a lot of faith out there. A lot of people feel depleted, forgotten, or unworthy. It's because they allowed the bitterness to take root and to grow into something, and that's a lie. So that's why I'm making this video focusing solely on bitterness, because if you feel bitterness or resentment towards God or towards anything in your circumstance, that's because you allowed that root to grow. Pluck out that seed. Get rid of it. Put it behind you. Command the enemy to get out and leave you alone, and focus on building that relationship with God. And you will see that you will feel lighter, and you will feel like the world looks brighter. So I hope this helped. Let me know if you're dealing with bitterness. Let me know if you have any insights on any of what I said. I love reading your comments. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. And I have to mention that most of you watching this are not subscribed. So please press that button down there. It will encourage me to keep sharing my vulnerabilities with you, and share this video if you think it's going to help anybody. And thank you again. I'll see you in the next one.